Hi Good Lifers, welcome back. Did you know that 60% of people in the UK are trying to reduce their meat and dairy consumption in order to try and live a more sustainable lifestyle? I found that statistic really interesting because for me, living a more self-sufficient lifestyle is actually more than just about the food we eat. So that's the topic I'm going to explore today. So welcome back to the channel. If you have not been here before, my name is Nikki and I run Back to the Good Life sometimes with my husband G when he's not working or being a bit camera shy. We talk about homesteading skills for the average person. So if you have a regular house, you have no land and you're probably working a full-time job, but you want to be more self-sufficient, welcome to our channel. We recently did a video here on this channel where we talked about the new Arla and Bovaer news that's just come out in the UK. And I mentioned in that video that we wanted to try and transition towards a little bit more of a cleaner lifestyle when it comes to food. And that video took off more than I was expecting, to be honest. It was definitely a slightly controversial topic, and I tried very hard to keep my opinion as neutral as possible because I'm not really an expert in these things. But a lot of you really had some interesting things to say, and I've been reading through all the comments that I've tried very hard to keep up with as much as possible. But it sparked a really interesting thought in my head that a lot of the time we think about self-sufficiency or self-reliance or homesteading if you're in more of the US kind of side of things, and pretty much all about food. And I think that if we always think about it as food, then we miss out on everything else. For me, it's not about being 100% self-sufficient in food. I don't think we can ever actually do that because my gardening skills aren't that good to begin with. Again, we don't have the land for all of the animals and the animal feed and all of that kind of stuff. Yes, we're hoping to get chickens, maybe ducks and quails at our new house, but that's about as far as we're going to be able to go animal-wise. So food is one thing, but it's a really big, important side of the self-reliance, self-sufficiency idea. But I really like to think about homesteading skills more of a case of self-reliance. And that means relying on yourself first. Now, what I mean by that is not cutting yourself off from society and completely ignoring the world and your home is your castle type thing. But it's the idea of like, something needs doing. Can I do this? Can I learn it? Is it something that I have the ability to do? And that is something I want to talk about today. And I have got 4 ways that you can be slightly more self-reliant that doesn't just rely on food. So let's dive into those topics. So the first topic I want to talk about is DIY and practical topics. I'm not going to say that I'm a DIY queen. I'm working on it. It's my belief that there's a lot of stuff around our homes and in our lives that we can try and learn to do as best as possible. Now, that doesn't mean that all of these things we can do. I don't know what it's like in the US, but I do know that in the UK, if you're doing things like electrical work and gas work, you definitely need it signed off by a professional. And to be honest, you probably should because those things are slightly dangerous if they go wrong. But stuff like planning out to do some decorating, you know, building things. You can't see at the moment because I have a virtual background on because we're moving house. It's a disaster. But actually I'm sitting on a sofa and right next to me there's a table that I built myself. It's a little bit wonky. It was the first time I've ever built a table, but it's like a little shelf table because I knew that where my sofa sits, I wanted a little mini shelf about that wide right down the side of it so we can put drinks and other bits and pieces on them. And I built that myself. I'm really proud of it. It's a little bit wonky, but it's okay. But it's just sort of things like that can be really good. I could go out to the shop and buy that, not a problem. But I was like, let's give it a try. Make it myself, build it myself, see what happens. And I built it. It's been there for 5 years. It's done a great job and I'm really proud of it. So there's little tiny things like that that I think that bringing those skills in-house means that we can just be that little bit more reliant on ourselves rather than always going out to other people. Now, I was talking to some people that I work with this week about this very thing, and I do have a strong feeling that if you're not very good at something, you really don't like doing something, or it's just a skill that doesn't really sit with you, then by all means go and get an expert to do it for you. And there are definitely people that do some of these skills much better than I do. But if you want to give it a go, and I think that's one of the hallmarks of trying to be a self-sufficient or self-reliant type person or family, is actually giving these things a go and trying it ourselves. So my first one is your DIY projects. Give them a go, see what you can do. And I really want to see some pictures. So tag them with hashtag back to the good life on Instagram and I can see them. Be great. The second one on my list is actually to do with food, but not food. So this is actually setting yourself up for sustainability. So things like rainwater harvesting, that's actually not that difficult. What you decide to do with it afterwards can get a little bit more complicated. So maybe you want to irrigate your plots with it, which I think is a great idea. We actually wrote a blog article on whether or not rain barrel water is safe for your vegetable garden. I'll pop it in the links below. You might find it interesting. But collecting water to water your plants with is one step in the list of self-sufficiency, isn't it? It's something that we can do. And when it's not rained for 3 weeks and it's really dry, and in the UK we have hosepipe bans as soon as it stops raining, you can just go to your water butt, fill up your watering can and go and water stuff. If you're one of those people that's a little bit more of the prepper mindset as well, having a big old water butt full of water or rain barrel full of rainwater means that you've always got an option to have water there. You definitely need to figure out how to clean it and how to drink it if you want it to be safe. But that's just one of those options that we can do. We take this to a whole nother level as well, because we, in our other, before we got married and everything, we quite like going camping. So we've got lots of camping stoves and things like that, and we got torches around the house and things like that. So when there's something like a power cut, there's a lot of people that will go to pot, oh my God, there's a power cut, what do I do? Whereas we just go, oh, there's a power cut. So is everyone safe? Good, fabulous. Let's go get the torches. We've got a little mini gas stove to cook on. Be careful if you're doing that inside the house because of carbon monoxide and burning the house down. Don't do all those things. But those kind of things are really, really useful to just be able to have that self-reliance of going, no worries, I can deal with this situation. So that's number 2 on my list, is having the self-reliance to put these little tiny systems in place that can then aid you to be more self-reliant in other ways. Number 3 on my list is to get invested into some craft skills. Now, craft means so many things to so many people, doesn't it? Don't get me wrong, it's so lovely to sit and make a very pretty card or to do some painting or something like that. That's lovely, and I think that's wonderful. But things like soap making, natural products making, we did a whole video on making your own deodorant. I'll link it somewhere, which is really, really cool. I've used that since I was 16. It works amazingly. So yeah, things like soap making, natural products making, even things like sewing. So just as a little bit of interjection, my wedding dress here, I actually made that all by myself. There was no pattern either. Is it the world's greatest wedding dress and was it worth £1 million or whatever? No, definitely not. But it was absolutely beautiful. It was exactly what I wanted. And yes, every single person in my life thought I was crazy. Even my own mum, bless her heart dearly, and she'll be in the comments probably later going, no, I didn't. Even my own mum said to me, are you sure you want to make that? It's a very important dress. And I was like, yes, I want to make it, because I was like, I want my own blood, sweat and tears, and trust me, all 3 of those went into that dress, but I want my own kind of energy into it, and I really wanted to do it myself, and I made it, and I tell you what, I absolutely loved it. I thought it looked amazing. I don't care what anyone else thinks, I thought it looked amazing. But just little things like that, it's like, can you do it? Like, yes, you can. Try it. Give it a try. Like, I don't have a huge amount of sewing skills, but I did it and I was so proud of doing it. And I learned lots of little tips and tricks on YouTube, and I'd cut things wrong and I redid things and I jiggled things around a bit. But I did that, and it, looking back at it, I was like, I'm so proud of this. I actually made it all by myself. It was very stressful. And it spent a lot of its time sitting on my dolly with a sheet over the top of it so G didn't see it before we got married. But yeah, in a very small house, that's very difficult to do. But it was something that I did and something that I'm really proud of, and just one of those little craft things that actually is a good skill to have. So now if, a piece of clothing falls apart or it needs something added, or I think to myself, I don't like the cut of that top or whatever, I can just go, you know what, I'll do it myself. I'll sort it out. It's fine. Now, I'm not an angel. I still obviously buy my clothes because it's a lot quicker to buy them and easier and cheaper quite a lot of the time. But I've now got the skills and confidence to go and repair something if it needs repairing. So skills like the little craft skills that are lovely and relaxing to do can actually turn into something that can help us be more self-reliant. So that's something that I think is super important. So, okay, so my last one, number 3, is kind of food related, but kind of not food related. So I think, and I'm a really big proponent of foraging for anyone who's interested in homesteading or in self-reliant lifestyles. So things like foraging for your own food is great. So knowing what things you can pick, what things you can make stuff out of to eat, like berries, you've got various different herbs, various different plants around. There's obviously fruits and things like apples and pears and stuff that you can go and forage. There's even some nuts around, even in like the UK. We've got like chestnuts, you've got hazelnuts. There's a few that you can go and find wild and forage your own stuff. So food, yeah, it's a great idea. Something we have definitely talked about on this channel though is foraging for medicinal uses. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not a medical expert, so obviously this is not medical advice. Go and find your own medical advice. But there are so many plants that are literally on our doorstep that have so many fantastic potential medicinal properties, even just good health properties. Like plantain, this one here, is one of my absolutely favourite plants, and I will forage it every single year. It pretty much grows year round, but it's better kind of spring, summer sort of time. I will forage it year round. I make plantain oil, I make plantain salves, I make dried plantains, I make plantain tincture, plantain powder. It's one of those fantastic wonder plants that I try and have it in as many different ways as possible so that actually I can keep using it. And I think foraging and learning about plant medicine, it's not always technically foraging either. You can grow things as well when it comes to plant medicine. But learning about plant medicine is so, so good for us because, again, it just means that some of our health requirements can be on our doorstep and we can sort them out. Again, we can know what ingredients have gone into what we're doing. I am in no way saying that we should completely ignore modern medicine and all of those things, because modern medicine has saved my life, probably more than once actually, to be honest. But modern medicine's definitely saved my life, so I'm a big advocate of doctors and all that kind of stuff. But there's quite a lot of stuff that we can manage at home. Like you go out for the day and you get stung by a stinging nettle, it's easy to go and find a dock leaf, rub it on, and you're actually going to feel a little bit better. Little tiny things like that we can do. And coughs and colds, things like that, can be really soothed using plant medicine without you having to go and use our kind of like big pharma alternatives and things like that. So I'm a really big proponent of plant medicine, and that is my last one at number 3. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. If you would like to drop us a subscribe, I would be over the moon. We have just gone over 1,000 followers, which is absolutely amazing to me. I'm just some random person who occasionally likes talking to a camera. So the fact that 1,000 people or more want to actually watch videos that I make just blows me away, and it's really lovely. So thank you so much for that. It has been wonderful to have you here. It is going into the silly season at the moment, so if I don't see you before Christmas, have an absolutely wonderful one. Have a lovely Christmas, have a lovely solstice, enjoy life, and we will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.